It has been an incredibly difficult time watching my kids grow up in a world that has so much hate and so much discrimination. I had an incident where my 5-year-old son came home. He said, "Dad, something happened at school today." And I said, "What?" I'd never heard him use those words before. And he said a bigger kid kept calling him Chinese boy, over and over again. And my son, bless him, he's so sweet. He said back to the bigger kid, "I'm a New Jersey boy." And I just remember when I heard that, it really made my heart sink, because I understood that this was perhaps the first encounter that my son is having with bias and discrimination, but it's not going to be his last. And I wish I could protect him. I wish I could keep that away from him. That I hope he doesn't have to experience what I've experienced or what others have experienced. Come on. Right arm. Left arm. This Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month feels different. This definitely feels different than previous years where I've celebrated and recognized this month. So I had a number of people call me, talk to me, be like, "Oh, well, I'm so sorry about what's happening, but look, the pandemic's almost over. You're gonna be okay." And I say, look, the discrimination that I faced happened well before COVID. It's gonna happen after COVID. Sure, gasoline was poured on the fire over the last year, but we have to really understand what we're getting at, which is the fact that my family has been in this country 50 years. I was born here, my son was born here, yet we still on a regular basis have this shadow of foreignness cast upon us as if we can never be 100% American. And that's something that I just reject as someone that this is the only home I've ever known. I reject the idea that I don't belong here. This is my home, I belong here. What are these? You remember these? What are those?
Tomato?
Yeah, tomatoes. See right here? Little guy. That'll be good. I went down to Atlanta in the aftermath of the shooting there, and I remember talking to the victims' families. And the family asked me, "What are you actually going to be able to do? What steps can you actually take to try to respond to this tragedy?" And it was a very humbling experience. What do I say to a family grieving about their lost mother? A mother that they shared cooks Korean food, just like my mother. A mother that worked so hard to provide for her kids, just like my mother. I remember feeling this connection there in a way I haven't felt in a long time. And I remember looking at them just saying, "Look, I'm gonna do everything I humanly can to try to move this in a better direction."
This bill brings us one step closer to stopping hate, not only for Asian Americans, but for all Americans.
We can't legislate away hate.
Well, I saw those comments made by my colleagues saying that you cannot legislate hate away, and it just perplexed me on what exactly is our job then? No piece of legislation will ever solve all the problems that we face, but we also have to recognize that we have to try, we have to be responsive. That is a job that I have that is written in the Constitution of the United States, and that's something I take very seriously. I've never actually seen a moment in my lifetime where there is this much national attention upon the challenges facing the AAPI community. I want to use this month to retake the narrative. I don't want people to only care about Asian Americans in this country when we're on the headline of newspapers or in cable news or during the month of May. I don't want a murderer down in Atlanta or a deranged person who beats an Asian American woman in New York. I don't want them to dictate how I understand and how I talk about being Asian American. And so Heritage Month for me has taken on a greater purpose. That it's not just about informing and educating and celebrating, it's about organizing, engaging, and sustaining. And that's a big part of what I've been trying to do. I was talking to political experts about, possibly running, and they said, you can't win this district because it's 85% white, it's less than 3% Asian American population that voted for Trump. And I just remember how hurt I felt that someone was trying to dictate what I am or am not capable of accomplishing simply because of my last name and the color of my skin. So I don't want others to have that experience. So what the In Our Hands PAC is trying to do is identify and recruit young, talented Asian Americans to run for office. I truly believe that we need a government that looks a lot more like the rest of America, not just because it would create more diversity and equality in our country in that legislative way, but I also think it'll just produce better policies and laws if we have that diversity of our country reflected within our own government.